I certainly wasn't lying in the title. You can expect unbelievable, life-changing results on a plant-based diet if you take the right steps, and that's important. I see the same hiccups, the same mistakes time and time again from new vegans and plant-based dieters, and if you can just iron out these creases, you can set yourself on the path for success. In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 of my top rules to get that scale moving and take back control of your health. Rule number one, then, I want you to fill 90% of your plate, of your bowls, with whole plant foods. It's not as though all processed foods are automatically bad, but things like our whole grains, like our brown rice, our oats, things like our fruits and our vegetables, things like our beans and pulses, lentils, so on and so forth, these tend to, if you're going to stuff your plate with them, it tends to bring a low calorie density, high fiber content, and they come rammed with loads of those amazing minerals and vitamins that leave you feeling nourished and satisfied as well, which makes the whole process of losing weight so much easier than if you're eating lots of processed stuff and doing some kind of flexible dieting if it fits your macro style, Weight Watchers, Slimming World-esque approach. Makes sense? So again, it's not like all processed foods are bad, but as a rule of thumb, stick mostly to whole foods. Rule number two, eat until you are satisfied but not stuffed. No more. I don't want you to push it, right? Now, this isn't a guarantee that you'll find a suitable calorie deficit. We're going to talk more on that a bit later on. But this, as a rule, is going to discourage you from overeating and allow you to better assess in the moment if you're eating out of necessary hunger or if there's something else taking over. You start looking down at your plate or bowl, you see there's a couple of forkfuls left. You actually assess by being honest and mindful with yourself. You assess, I'm actually done here. I've actually arrived at a good point of fullness. Well, do you go back and finish those? That's the litmus test for you, right? In those moments, do you finish it even though you're done? A lot of people do. And whether this is because the historic narrative they grew up with, that this was food waste, which is, of course, is untrue. You can just use it as leftovers. It's all just an excuse. Or whatever reason they have, oh, well, I've made it now, so it's there, I may as well have it, right? Whatever rationalization you've got for overeating, basically, I want you to cut that out. And we're going to train your brain to just stop. We're going to train your brain to become more aware and to actually assess, do I need another bite? Am I still hungry? Audit yourself with these kinds of questions, and you'll better find a suitable calorie deficit that matches your appetite. Rule number three, we might well be in the kitchen here, but it isn't all about nutrition. I know everyone says, oh, it's all about the food, weight loss is all about the food. Poppycock. It's important, obviously, but it's certainly not the only variable that matters in the equation of weight loss. And exercise is a really important factor that's worth mentioning here. If you're not doing any right now, I strongly encourage you to get outside and just do something, even something very basic like walking to get started with. No shame in that. In fact, I would recommend, if you're pretty new to moving your body, start yourself out with 5 times 30-minute gentle walks every week. 5 times 30-minute gentle walks, or something else of a very low intensity, something like yoga or Zumba, just done at a very slow pace. This isn't to say you shouldn't do weight training. This isn't to say you shouldn't do, cardio-based activities with a greater intensity. I'm not ruling those out and saying you don't need to do those things, but build up to them as you improve your fitness, as you lose some weight so there's less chance of injury, as you build habits so that you're less likely to get put off by exercise that right now you might find intimidating or daunting. Just start small, scale up over time, and even something as little as 5 times 30-minute walks, it's easier to get in a calorie deficit with those things. It's easier to lose weight. It's easier to take the efficiency of your metabolism up so you can eat more food with something like that rather than just sitting on the settee every day. Rule number 4, I want you to keep it simple. It's okay to be repetitive with your meals. I'm doing the same stuff pretty much day in, day out, the same 5 or 6 meals every week, more or less. I had, even earlier on, George behind the camera will attest to this, I had my sandwiches for lunch earlier on, my hummus and cucumber and tomato sandwiches. I start every single day, as I did this morning, with my muesli and or bran flakes bowls, etc., etc. Like, I am so dull with the variety of food in my diet that it would astonish some of you, right? I think people, they come online and they're so used to a lot of vloggers and YouTubers and Instagrammers making all these delicious bowls. I think people that have been following me for a while, they know I'm not really that guy. It's never been my thing. And that isn't purely laziness. There is more strategy to it than that. I could do those things. I don't have time always to do those things. I could do more of that stuff. But I've also understood that really for me, simplicity is a gateway to consistency. My consistency becomes corrupted if I don't keep things ultra simple. There's no shame in that. Truth be told, rule number 5, It's easier said than done. But when I was thinking about the 10 tips that I wanted to share with you today, something on the subject of emotional eating had to make this list. It is a barrier that holds even the smartest folks back, even the most ambitious weight loss hopefuls back, even the folks most clued up on how to assemble plates of food, the fundamentals of plant-based eating. This will get even the folks that on paper seem the most prepared for insane weight loss results. Stop using food as a reward, as a treat, as a pick-me-up, and start seeing it as fuel. Again, I know, easier said than done. I'm saying it very flippantly here, but you have to break that connection in your mind, that association of negative feelings to food. So many people have inbuilt this pattern of behavior to whereby when they feel an ounce of stress, an ounce of boredom, an ounce of loneliness, a sense that I deserve something here. I deserve to reward myself. I've had a difficult day. I had a successful day. I deserve a treat, right? To celebrate my efforts. So many people have got food as being part of the vehicle to those feelings, or to at least soothing, succumbing, stuffing down, or enhancing those feelings. If it's something positive, enhancing them. You have to break this association. Now, I've covered this in lots of videos, so I'm going to link some more resources on the mental and emotional aspect of eating down below, and hopefully they'll help you out, but I had to include this here. Remember, food is just fuel. This doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. This doesn't mean you can't use plenty of herbs and spices. I've got herbs and spices behind me. That's why I'm pointing behind me. It doesn't mean you can't use a bit of hot sauce, bit of ketchup to bring your food to life. You don't have to eat bland stuff. You can still enjoy it, but we are taking the emotion out of it as best as we humanly can. Rule number 6, fresh fruits, raw veggies with hummus. These make incredible snacks. There are other snacks that I have my clients eat. My chia, actually I've got one remaining, my chia and raisin oatmeal cookies. Some of my clients will eat popcorn, edamame, bit of hummus on a nice bit of whole wheat or rye bread. There are many snacks you can eat, but the thing I love about raw fruits and raw veggies with a bit of hummus, the caloric density is so low that you can eat these big, hearty snacks and still maintain that amazing, powerful calorie deficit whilst feeling full, rather than just eating a little bit of chocolate and not really. All right, you get that sweetness, but you get no real nourishment, satisfaction, feeling of fullness from it. Rule number 7. Beans, peas, and lentils. More widely, our legume category. If you want to lose weight, you want to be eating lots of these. For a litany of reasons, but the one I want to talk about today is that they are amazing for fullness. If you can actually stay physically full and mentally / emotionally, biochemically, many ways that this manifests, satisfied, then your time being in a calorie deficit is going to feel like a cheat code. You are going to watch that scale drop and you're going to have the feeling that my clients do. This is wrong, Ryan. This is wrong. Like 7 out of 10 of my clients will write to me at the end of week 1, or will get on our first game plan coaching call with me after they've had a week and a half on the program, and they will say, Ryan, when you first made your meal plan for me, I was utterly shocked. I was like, there's no way this is going to work. I trust this guy, but there's no way this is going to work. This is a lot of food. This can't work, surely, for weight loss. And then they report back that they're flying down the scale, and it just blows their mind that they can eat this much. It's not necessarily rather that I'm giving my clients loads of calories. It's rather just bang for their buck. For the calories that I give my clients, the planning, the nutrition planning that goes into designing their meal plans, with use of things like beans, for example, as one strategy, I can let my clients feel so full, no chance of deprivation. It really doesn't feel like they're being restricted, whilst also seeing that scale drop. And there's many foods that help with this feeling of satiety, but beans, peas, and lentils, big food group in this category. Rule number 8, if you are tracking calories, aim for a moderate, not aggressive calorie deficit. Some people, they go so severely, whether knowingly or not, with their calorie deficit. They're doing something like a juice fast, they're doing something like intermittent fasting. I'm not against juicing. I think it's brilliant. Exclusively a juice detox, don't agree with it. Intermittent fasting, I don't think it's wrong. I think it can be a powerful tool, but I don't view it as being necessary. These things also, when done to extremes, can take so many calories away from one's diet that people actually hugely undereat. And weight loss in the short term will be fantastic, but the risk of crashing and burning, the risk of it simply being unsustainable, the metabolic and hormonal ramifications, yeah, again, you'll lose weight in the short term, but what's going to happen to the efficiency of the metabolism if you keep driving those calories so low, again, whether knowingly or not. I much prefer to start my clients at a way more conservative, way more moderate calorie deficit, and we bring them down, bring their calorie intake down in line with what the scale shows, rather than just siphoning off loads of calories just because a calorie calculator online told us to, and then being absolutely ravenous. That's no good. Number 9 here, reduce oil intake. You will not find an ounce of oil in this kitchen. Admittedly, I'm away from home right now. You will not find an ounce of oil in my kitchen at home because I do not use oil at home. When I go out to eat, I don't sweat it. Things like the holidays every now and again, if I'm eating at someone else's house, I'm not going to be fussy about it. I'm not going to be too pedantic about it. I don't like oil because it has a terrible calorie to nutrient ratio. Never mind the inflammation, never mind the risk of inflammation from oil, just solely looking at the calorie to nutrient ratio of oil. Yeah, oil is from a whole food source, so we could think, okay, check that off the list. That sounds good. It's from a whole food, right? But it is processed and refined again and again and again at such an incredibly high heat that so many of the nutrients are stripped away, and you are simply left with a bottle of empty, frankly, calories with no nutrient goodness. It's not like other calorie-dense foods on a plant-based diet like nuts and seeds and tahini, you might even argue avocados. These are higher calorie plant-based foods because of their higher fat content, but at least they actually come with some decent nutrition, unlike oil. So if I'm going to eat something calorically dense, I still sure want a bunch of decent nutrients from it, and oil simply doesn't provide that. Rule number 10, last but most certainly not least. George is laughing behind the camera because I've messed this one up a bunch of times, but let's get serious for a second here. I'll try and get serious as much as I can for a second here. Do not, under any circumstances, blame this approach for your own inconsistency. That is what people will do, right? To take their own accountability and sense of responsibility out of it so they can stay in denial and stay comfortable with their own limiting beliefs and insecurities and fears and cover themselves so they don't feel bad that they gave up. A lot of people will say, oh, veganism didn't really work for me. Or, oh, I tried that plant-based thing, I gave it a shot. You know what, it didn't really work. Be honest with yourself now. Were you actually consistent day in, day out? Were you compliant? A plant-based diet, look, it's changed my life. It's a highly effective nutrition approach. I've been arguing this on YouTube for 5 or 6 years now. It has changed my life. 40-pound weight loss, cleared my skin. You guys have seen the photos of me before. Blood work better than ever. This one is highly anecdotal, I appreciate it, but I feel better than ever. I feel absolutely incredible. And 8 years I've been doing this now. None of those positive things happened to me by being plant-based once a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week eating my rice and beans bowl. I did it every day. And sure, there were slip-ups every now and again. There was the occasional G&T. There was the occasional, I'm British, there was a great occasional pint of beer. I don't do that much nowadays, but back in the day, there was. But I got back on the wagon. I made mistakes, but I got back on the wagon. And day in, day out, most weeks, I was eating pretty much every day the meals that you see me promote here, more or less. 9 times out of 10, greater, 95% of the time, eating incredibly cleanly. That's what changed my life. Plant-based diet is amazing, but it is not powerful enough to mask your own inconsistency. So if you suffer from cravings, limiting beliefs around weight loss, a sense that you're not worthy of health success, difficult social pressures and environments to be in, if you're being overly elaborate with recipes and not having that simplicity that I talked about a few steps ago, 10 minutes ago, a plant-based diet ain't going to cover you for those things. You have to plug those leaks as well. So ask yourself this, where am I going wrong with my inconsistency and how can I fix those problems too? You can assemble the most incredible plant-based meal plan, full of lots of the foods that I've shown you today, full of lots of the foods that I've promoted on this channel for years and years and years, but you need some consistency. Good plan plus consistency, unbelievable results. That's how you do it. Hopefully this helped you out, but if you want one-on-one support to lose your first 15 to 25 pounds in the next 12 weeks, with simple, and I stress, simple vegan meals, 0 counting calories, head to veganslimandsustain.com. See you soon.